Utah politics.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Glenn Mills. It is time to go inside Utah politics. We do begin this morning with State Director of Elections Ryan Cowley and Deputy Director Shelley Jackson here to discuss this month's primary election. Thank you to both of you. It's great to have you here on the show.
Thank you.
Let's start off with you, Ryan. What is your main message going to the primary election in a climate where some, not all, but some, question the integrity of the election process?
So our message is one of just get out and vote. You know, obviously we're in a climate where there is a heightened sense of questions around election security, but your votes really are safe and secure. We have county clerks that do a great job. There's a lot of processes in place to make sure that your vote will be counted and be counted the way that you mark that on the ballot.
Let's move into key dates. Always an important thing when you talk about a primary or general election. There are important dates you need to have marked on the calendar. Shelley, what are some of the most important things voters need to know when it comes to that?
Yes, primary election day is Tuesday, June 28th. Next week, June 7th, is when ballots will start getting mailed out. So start checking your mailboxes. They should be there by the end of the week. If you're uncertain if you didn't get a ballot and you're uncertain about that, give your county clerk a call or go to vote.utah.gov. The last day to register is Friday, June 17th at 5 p.m. And then the last day to request a by-mail ballot is that following Tuesday, the 21st.
Okay, if we could dig into that registration date a little more, let's do that, because you mentioned the June 17th deadline. However, there is same-day voter registration available as well. So explain that, please.
Sure, thank you. Statewide, you can show up in person on Election Day and register to vote. If you're already registered, though, and affiliated with a party not having a primary or already affiliated with a party, there aren't options to change at that time. But if you're not registered, you can show up, register, and vote that day.
What do you need to bring with you in order to successfully do that?
To do that, you need to bring proof of identification, who you are, and proof of residency, something that shows where you live. So a state ID, a utility bill that might have your correct address on it, things like that. There's a complete list at vote.utah.gov.
Okay, let's move into voting options. Ryan, let's start with vote by mail, a very popular option here in the state of Utah. Talk us through what we need to know about that.
Yeah, so vote by mail is the norm in Utah and is state law. Every county in the state does that. Over 90% of the voters in 2020 participated in vote by mail. In order to do that, basically we'll send a ballot to every active registered voter, depending on your party affiliation. There are statewide Republican races, so every Republican will get a ballot. Nonpartisan races, school board, things like that, it'll depend on where you live. And then there are some Democratic races, a lot here in the Salt Lake Valley. With that, you'll get the ballot. They'll come June 7th, and sometimes they take about a week to get there, but once you get it, you'll be able to look through the options, vote that ballot. The most important thing is to remember to sign that envelope so that we can then count that ballot.
A couple things I want to dig into with vote by mail. One, it's all about increasing access to the ballot box. Talk about how much it has improved voter participation over the years that we've been doing it here in Utah.
Yes, we have seen a huge spike in voter participation. And for me, one of the real values of vote by mail, that participation is really important, but it's also, for me, it's the ability to sit around the kitchen table, look at that ballot. Sometimes I'm not familiar with all of the races, or when you get into the bigger ballots in November, sometimes there's 30, 40 races on that ballot. And so it gives you a chance to really dig through the issues, research the candidates, and make an informed choice on that ballot.
Shelley, there's important deadlines and dates you need to know about with your mail-in ballot as well. Talk about the postmark deadline.
Yes, so the ballot needs to be postmarked the day before the election. That's Monday, the 27th. So you would actually need to, at that point, if we're recommending that if it's past that Friday, that you walk it into the post office and get that hand cancellation on it. You can bring it in person to any polling place or drop box, though, by 8 p.m. on election night.
Okay, so recommending the Friday before, because we've had some incidents where people have put it in maybe a drop mailbox at the post office on a Saturday. They assumed all was good, and it really wasn't.
That's correct. So if the post office receives it but fails to put that timestamp on it, it wouldn't be counted if it was received after the election day at your county clerk's office.
Okay, but you're thinking Friday gives you plenty of time to make sure that that will happen and be postmarked by Monday.
Exactly, and if you're unsure, just walk it in and get that stamp.
Yeah, that's what I always do. I think that's the best advice right there. Ryan, early voting also an option. Talk about dates and how that will work.
Yeah, so early voting will depend on which county you're in. Some counties will do up to 2 weeks of early voting. Every county is required to do at least 4 days of early voting. So you want to check with your county clerk, or you can also go to vote.utah.gov and you can look up to see what your options are as far as early voting goes. Some of the counties will also do the Monday before the election early voting. So you really want to just talk with your county clerk and look for that information specific to where you live.
Okay, and Shelley, we've already hit on this as well, but same day election options as well for those that just like to do it the good old-fashioned way.
Yes, there's polling places. At least one is required to be open in each county. So again, I would check vote.utah.gov or call your county clerk and find out where that location or locations are.
And just like any other election day, polls will close at 8 p.m. that day?
Yes.
Okay, let's get into this election security issue. Shelley, we'll stick with you on this. Those that are skeptical of the election, one of the things they bring up consistently in the state of Utah is the idea of
Custody.
the chain of security. So talk about your response to that, because we do have drop boxes where anyone can come and drop off a ballot at a box. You know, no one's there checking ID or anything like that. So what are the measures that are being taken? And I said that wrong. Chain of custody is what I meant to say there. So what's your response to those concerns?
Sure. First of all, go call your clerk's office and take a tour. But what's going to happen is you're required to sign the envelope on your ballot, and that signature is actually, each signature is verified at the county clerk's office. If there's any question about whether that signature is valid and it is compared to what registration forms we have on file for you, and if any of those are questioned, it's elevated and checked by 2 or 3 other staff members. And then finally, if it can't be resolved that way, a notice is required under Utah statute to be sent to you, and the voter is notified and given a chance to, we call it cure that ballot, but to basically attest that that is your ballot and your signature.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, Shelley brought up going and touring the office of your local county clerk. I've seen a lot of county clerks open their doors and saying, look, if you have questions, come see us. We'll be happy to show you how that works. What would a tour entail? What would that experience be like?
So the clerks are more than willing to have you come in, and they'll basically walk you through all of the processes from A to Z. We've really identified in the state 4 pillars upon which we're basing election integrity. There's the voter's responsibility, there's the voter registration database, the voting equipment, as well as ballot processing. And during that tour, they'll walk you through all of that, the things that they do to make sure that the lists are maintained accurately. The equipment's never connected to the internet, and they'll show you some of those security features. They'll walk you through the ballot processing, all the different steps there, and you can really see firsthand what that looks like and get a feel for it, because oftentimes you hear things that happen in other states, these different rumors, so to speak, and some of those are based in a little bit of truth, but a lot of them really do become rumors. But when you go and tour it with your clerk's office, you can see firsthand what those processes are, the security measures that are in place, so that you can have confidence in your vote.
And you're a former county clerk yourself before you took this new position with the state. Did you have that opportunity, and what did you hear from people when they came and took that opportunity to see what happens? Yeah,
so I was an elections director in Weber County, and we invited the public in all the time, usually at least once a month. During ballot processing time, we'd bring in anybody. Sometimes people would post a comment on Facebook or our Twitter account, questioning the integrity of the election or just with general questions. And so we would invite them in. And it was really a great opportunity to hear their concerns so that we could address those and look for ways that we can improve the process. That's one thing you'll find with county clerks and election officials is we're not perfect. Our elections aren't perfect. There's a lot of moving pieces to it. And when we find out what those vulnerabilities are, or areas maybe that are concerned out there, those are areas that we can strengthen and work on to improve.
Okay, appreciate your time. Some very important information. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Still to come, work